we may have a large budget, but the margins are always thin in today's world. So I think those are the things that you have to look at. How are we selling tickets? What do our numbers look like? What's the budget look like, as it relates to those ticket sales? Where are we in fundraising? So those are the things I want to dive into. I don't know any of those numbers yet, but that's always just going to be a challenge. But it also creates opportunity to engage your donors, in a bigger way. So those are all the things I'm learning. Obviously, we have the alcohol policy in the SEC. So I'm going to sit down with RC and Stephanie later this week and understand what A&M has done to analyze that and prepare for that if the university, says that we're allowed to do that. So, that's something that's out there as an opportunity. But you also have to make sure you do it the right way. So there's just a lot of things like that that we'll get up to speed and be ready for, the first game.
Thank you.
What about the challenge of going to be a new president here? What about as far as that?
At Ole Miss, I've been through 4 chancellors, in 7 years. And so if I do my job, if we're doing our job in athletics, then that leader can come in and embrace, athletics. President Young, look, as far as I'm concerned, he's my boss. We're going to lock arms and we're going to work as hard as possible. And whatever transition is, there is. But I know we're confident in the job that we can do in athletics.
Are you an AD that's going to be at football practices? And I know you spoke about the games as well, but you have a pretty...
I swing by, but you guys heard me say up there, I have to be out in the community. I can't do it from behind my desk. I can't just sit at my desk until 2 o'clock and then go out to football practice and come back at 5. I need to be out seeing people during the day. So there may be days where I'm traveling and I don't get to football practice but once every 3 weeks. I love going to football practices in August on a Saturday. I take my boys. Those are the best. I love that environment. So you'll see me at practice, but there's some weeks where I may not get to any because I'm out, with our fans and our donors and former students.
I realize you mentioned that you had doubled the revenue at Ole Miss. What is the primary key to fundraising?
Relationships. We have to look people in the eye. We have to really ask them what they're passionate about and connect that passion to what our vision is. So it's all about relationships. You can't walk in and just say, hey, we want you to, give $1 million, and we've never met that person or don't have any connection. So relationships are the key. And then casting vision. What's that vision that we have? So that's the key to it.
I realize this is kind of a broad question, but what's kind of your take on the state of how the transfer situations are across sports with the transfer portal and everything like that, and how rampant it kind of seems to have gotten?
How much time do we have? All right,
Up to you.
I was on the transfer working group representing the SEC. The reason why the transfer portal was created was to really protect us against ourselves, right? Because all the noise around this school is blocking this player from leaving, this school won't give a release. The portal was designed to give the student athletes freedom. So I think we accomplished that. I think the name of it has taken on a life of its own, right? But kids have always transferred, right? So I think this whole thing has taken on this whole new realm of portal, the young man or young woman didn't tell their coach. These things should be about a relationship that if the student athlete's not happy or they're not getting the playing time, they go in and talk to that coach. Hey, coach, you know what? It's not quite working out. Hey, you know what? We're going to help you. And here's a way to do it. Here's the computer. Here's how you log in. So I think we've created this whole thing where, look, kids should have choices and we should not be restricting them. So I think that part has been healthy. What I don't agree with is I do believe that student athletes need to sit out a year to transition academically, socially, get used to their teammates. So I think we're allowing too many waivers, and we've expressed that. As a transfer working group, we express that. As an SEC, we express that. And I hope that it levels out because I do believe that young men and women should sit out a year.
Ross, you've been a proponent of alcohol sales and trickle seating in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, with the SEC change on Friday, how do you think that's going to affect?
I think what it does is it provides flexibility, right? And so if LSU is all in, and Ole Miss wants to do something different, or Texas A&M, it gives flexibility. I think that's the key. Is whatever the local philosophy is, should apply. And we've been talking about that in the SEC for the last 5 years, around this alcohol policy. So I like the flexibility. Again, I don't know enough about Texas A&M yet. I know that they've looked at a few things and they're looking at more of how things could be implemented. but I know we have not made a final decision on what the direction is yet.
You think is Collinsville capable of if
You know what?
it'd be as early as this
I
year?
really don't know. I don't know what the concessionaire, arrangement looks like in terms of do they need to install a bunch of things, or do you have to just do kiosks, right? Because you're not portables, because you're not positioned in the permanent. I don't know all that yet.
Your experiences in dealing with the NCAA at Ole Miss, for better or for worse, how does that help prepare you and maybe learning experiences for you moving forward?
The thing about the whole NCAA case, there were so many twists and turns in that we dealt with everything head on. So if we had something in front of us, if something landed on our desk, deal with it. Let's not prolong it. Let's just deal with it swiftly. So that part I'll continue. Let's deal with it and let's get it over. The problem we had is it took so long, and it kept having all these twists and turns. So what I learned is, on top of the swiftness part, is how do we become more in control as an institution? You have outside attorneys, you're talking to the SEC. How does the institution take more control? So that's the thing that I'll look at. So what is our structure? All those things. Again, I don't know all that yet, but that's the thing I learned is we as a university have to take more control. And then you have to understand, is there something out there that you're not aware of? And in our case at Ole Miss, there was something out there that we weren't aware of, and we should have known that sooner, but the NCAA wouldn't tell us. So that's the thing. You have to get to the core as fast as possible.
There's a lot of chuckling going on when I think Michael Young
Yeah.
joked that you're going to double the revenue here. But hey, when you think about how many 430 living Aggies, the oil money out there, is that possible?
Look, the SEC is going to have another uptick at some point in time, so we're going to continue to grow those revenues, and we got TV contracts and all those things. You are limited. Hey, you only have a certain amount of seats, right? And so there is a cap at some point. So unless you raise prices, right, then there's your cap. So it really comes down to fundraising. So the 12th Man is an unbelievable vehicle. It's already set up, well established. Our former student association has to be a vehicle for us. So I don't know what the upside is. I don't know what the ceiling is, if there even is one. But having that many resources, it gives you a chance. So our job will be to turn it all on, see what happens.